Derek Lambert, Rewired Addiction. For those of you who saw my video yesterday, you might be asking yourself, Derek, what are you doing with this video? Honestly, giving you an opinion. I'm not a medical professional, so I will say up front, do not take my advice as the gospel and go and believe what I am saying to you and what you should do or how. I said up front on my last video, and I'm saying again, I am not against maintenance substances like methadone, Suboxone, Vivitrol, you name it. The list can go on because there are various forms. I'm not against it at all. In fact, I'm for it in many ways, okay? I am actually supportive of the idea. Let me give you a few examples. I got a good friend, Owen Culpepper. Owen Culpepper was homeless for 10 years on the streets, shooting up everything he could get his hands on. I mean, this guy was shooting using rainwater from leaves that he collected out in the wilderness, if you will, and shooting up his fentanyl that he got from his dope dealer. And he would collect rainwater that he would just lay under the bridge and collect off the leaves and use that to shoot up sometimes. This guy had abscesses cut out, overdosed many, many times, in and out of jail down in Florida, almost 100 times in different detoxes and you name it. Like this guy just was I don't know how he's alive, And right now, methadone has him working. He's got his own home. He's stable. He's a man who's taking care of his business. Methadone did that. You know what I say to that? Thank you for those who gave him methadone to help him live life. Now, if you're an abstinent person, like to the core, you might get a little offended by that statement. I know some people who might. I'm asking you to open your mind and stop being so strict and concerning of what other people put into their body. That is something I had to learn to do. And I'm asking others who are like, if you're taking these substances, you're not clean. I don't give a what you think or anyone else thinks when it comes to taking something that's going to save someone's life or my life especially. I have to be selfish about survival. And I'm very thankful these substances exist for people like my friend Owen or my brother-in-law, Nelson. My brother-in-law, Nelson, was shooting up cocaine and doing opiates. He was addicted. He ended up going to the methadone clinic. I thought for a long time, like, dude, it's a trap. Now, I must admit, there were moments where I saw him like a zombie from methadone. I saw him standing up in the hallway, hunched over from taking too much of his dose. And over the years, it was kind of like he'd stabilize and do good, or he would double dose when he had his take-homes, and he would kind of abuse it a little here and there. And that's going to happen no matter what. But he wasn't sticking needles in his neck vein like he had shot up in the main vein in his neck with cocaine and almost died and overdosed. Whoa. Well, Derek, what do you think of that? I'm thankful that he did methadone when he did. When he went to get off the methadone, he was trying to transition, and in his mind, going to Suboxone, and in his mind, he decided, well, you know what? It'd be easier to withdraw off of fentanyl or heroin than it is to withdraw off of this. And he went and relapsed and went out and started doing all that stuff. I want you guys to see the pro and con to some of this. That's really my whole point in doing the videos, not to tell you guys like I know, but I just got off the phone with my really good friend, Dr. B, Fareed Banimad. I spoke to him and said, listen, the video I did yesterday, it stirred a few people up. Other people were, thankful for it, even if they are on the maintenance substances, like they agree. And he admitted this on the phone. Not all the doctors out there know how to end game people on these substances. It's almost like doctors need more education on how they plan to end game certain people from always having to use Suboxone. Someone commented on my video, and I thought it was kind of interesting because it's going to bring another angle to this. And they said, well, by the way, they said that it's like, blood pressure medicine and other things. And I agree. It is an illness. This is not like a moral thing. We're not bad people and we just take this Suboxone or Methadone because we're bad people. And then, oh, and that drug has also got a stigma. I don't want the stigma to be there for my videos. So I want to correct that. I just got off the phone with Real Talk Recovery as well, Nicole. And we talked. I said, Nicole, I am not trying at all to bash anything of this substance. Okay. It saves people's lives. But there's a lot of people I talk to who are trapped in it and they just don't know how to get off. Now, can you imagine if you had a doctor who only writes you a prescription, doesn't really work with you, doesn't really try to assist you in managing you in your life in a way of helping you to eventually, potentially get off? Someone like my friend Owen, who was homeless and shot everything under the sun from flakka, cocaine, crack, you name it, he's done it, and he is like going to die. I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed on methadone the rest of his life. And let me tell you something from my own lips. I hope he does. Yes, because I've seen it. I've seen him. He video called me homeless in the streets of California. The guy is going to die. I don't want to risk that. But is Betty Sue, who's prescribed Percocets and ends up abusing them and maybe was addicted to them for 1 year, is she now needing to be prescribed Suboxone for the rest of her life or Methadone for the rest of her life? Guys, I want you to feel where I'm coming from. I'm going to ask myself this question on this video. This is awkward, but this is authentic and real. Why did I not need Suboxone, Methadone, or Vivitrol or Kratom or anything to get clean? Everyone's different. You might be different. I get it. And I'm not saying that means you need to do it my way. Hell no. I'm saying, why didn't I need that? Why didn't I need these maintenance substances? I have the same illness that you do if you're an addict watching this. Why did I not need it, but you did? Or what's the difference? What happened? And I'm sure that a doctor like Dr. B could explain that. And I'm not saying that means the medicine is bad. I want you to feel where I'm coming from. I hope anyone seeks medical professional help when they're struggling with addiction. And what better place to do that than on your couch if you're really going to go through treatment is a rehab. I've said this in the previous video. So it gets all taken and distorted, and I don't want people to take things out of context at all. But I want you to understand that my brother-in-law, who was on it for 6 years, who relapsed and ended up on fentanyl, I dried him out in a hotel room with us down in Florida. Absolutely miserable experience. I want to do a follow-up video and ask him honestly. This is where I'm coming from. Nelson, you've been off of methadone since, let's see, I would say 5, 6, maybe up to 9 months. How do you feel? And maybe 6 of those months, 5 to 6 of those months, he's been abstinent from nothing, right? How do you feel now that you're not on methadone versus how you felt when you were on methadone? I'd like to ask him. Would you like to hear his honest opinion and honest thoughts? Or just throwing it out there because everyone's got a subjective opinion and thought, and they might be on that substance. You might be on that substance and are super protective and sensitive on anyone discussing anything on it, because there's a lot of guys on the other side who are abstinent who want to throw stones at those who do methadone, and they want to tell you, oh, you're not clean if you don't do it. And I understand. I don't agree with those people. Okay. But if I had him say, I feel way better, way more clear thoughts. I think clear. I feel better. I'm happier that I don't do the methadone now. And he said these things. Would that offend you? Would that offend you? Would you agree with him? Do you think he needs to be on methadone if you're a methadone user? So let's not be like the abstinent people either. Let's not go and start throwing stones at people who have opinions and say, look, it wasn't working for me. It didn't help me. Oh, okay. It helps some. So my question to those who do take the substance, which I agree is a definite good source for getting clean and a process that's safer, it's harm reduction. I'm a big fan of harm reduction. I'm a big fan of the idea of trying to keep people from dying and on and on. My question is, are you going to do the same thing that the abstinence people do and say everyone needs to get on a maintenance substance in order to get clean? Are you going to require that everybody goes and takes Suboxone, everyone goes and takes Methadone, everyone gets on one of these things in order to get clean? I know the statistics, it means it's more probable and it's a good thing. But are you going to tell me that every doctor should write these prescriptions because, well, across the board, these are just like, if you have a heart disease, you got to take heart medicine. Therefore, if you have an addiction to opiates, you must take Suboxone? Is that where you're going, where it must be that way? This is why I don't think it's one size fits all. And what is the long-term goal? Dr. B does have long-term goals, and some people, which I think we agree almost on everything, me and Dr. B, and he prescribes these things when it comes to this. I didn't take these substances, but he does know how to taper people down to a very low dose and help them get through the transition phase. I thought it would be a great idea that people go to rehab during that phase, because a lot of doctors who are tapering people down may not know what they're doing. And oftentimes you can be in a very protected area like a detox inpatient where you're able to do this safely under a doctor's care. I never want you to sit on the couch like I did. I feel a lot of regret for my early day 5, day 7 videos, because thousands, guys, I have 1,200,000 and 300,000 views on my day 7 video. I have 750,000 or something. Maybe it's more than that now. I don't know. On my day 5 video. Like, I don't want you to sit on your couch and do this. No, I would rather you go speak to a medical professional. I would rather you consider maintenance. I would rather you consider going to a rehab. I would rather you consider an outpatient, inpatient, something like that, because this is life or death. But also, sitting on the couch absolutely sucked. It was painful. I'm glad I did it. That doesn't mean I recommend it at all. In fact, I recommend against doing it that way. And that's a guy who's glad that things worked out the way they did. Do you see how complex this is? I'm not even encouraging the way I did it on other people. So if you do it a certain way, are you going to encourage your way of doing it on other people because that's what worked for you? Too often, gurus and people who know it all are in the comment section, and they are the professionals. They're the doctors. I'm not, and that's what I'm trying to say. It's such an opinion on what I'm saying here. Don't take it to the bank. It's my thoughts being freely spoken for you to hear me. And these free thoughts that I'm just saying are coming from many messages of people who write me saying, I want to get off, but I'm afraid. Or I feel depressed. I'm tired of this medicine. I don't want to be on it anymore. Okay. What about them? And Dr. B pointed it out. He's like, look, these doctors don't really know how to rigorously work with the addict to get them to a point where they can get off. We need better solutions, or doctors need to be educated on an end goal, plan B, ideas that help people when they are ready to phase off. I know these are controversial topics, guys, and I understand you might think clickbait, blah, 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 but honestly, this is a serious topic that I think is necessary to talk about. And this is my opinion being expressed, but it's also hundreds of other messages of people's opinions saying they don't know what to do. They feel stuck and they want to get off, but they feel like they can't. And that's very difficult. And they go to talk to their doctor, and the doctor turns them away or encourages them not to get off, but they feel like they really want to. And it's not simple when you don't have a doctor who's working with you little by little, all those details. When I took Suboxone, or it was actually Subutex, for 8 months, I got on my feet. I had a job. I had a lot of my life was in order, at least to some degree. And I wanted to get off, and they ended up tapering me within 1 week. And I was still withdrawn when I left that clinic for at least a couple days. But I remember it feeling like there was a force field, like a shield, a protective layer numbing me from any potential enemies' arrows, bullets shot from the bad guys' thoughts and stuff. It's like a protective layer. That protective layer protected me from wanting to go and use dope and do the things on the street. At the same time, it protected me from being fully fully, I guess you'd say, exposed to my emotions and my experiences that I feel now that I'm not on anything. So there's like a layer of protection that's good, and there may be a layer of protection that can not be good. But it's the pros outweigh the cons if you're actually staying clean using the substance. Notice I said staying clean using the substance. I am a believer that people who take Suboxone, Methadone, Subutex, and things are clean. I'm not in that vein of people who think if you take this, you're not clean. I want to give the voice of that person why they think that way too. A long time ago, when I watched my brother-in-law Nelson on methadone, falling asleep standing up on methadone. It was so powerful. He was literally getting high on the methadone, but it numbed him so much it stopped making him feel high. And he's like in the hallway, literally like a zombie, like this. And he'd wake up 4 and 5 hours later with his legs hurting like crazy because he was standing up asleep on methadone. Powerful stuff. I thought to myself, he's higher than he's high as hell right now. That guy's stoned out of his mind. And I'd ask him like, dude, are you okay? And he'd go, yeah. And I'm like, dude, you got to be high. And he's like, I don't feel like I'm high. And I'm like, what? Sometimes he would abuse it and he would double up that day. And that's what he would do. He'd nod like that, like crazy. There are people who use these things with the right intention. To me, to Derek Lambert, recovery isn't what you, these tools that you put in your body, which they already say no to, these abstinent people say no to. Recovery is progressively getting to the next phase of life, bettering your life. That's all recovery is to me. Recovery is not black or white. Recovery is not you must take this substance or not take this substance. Recovery is getting to the next point in your life where you're bettering your life. My friend, Owen Culpepper, who's on methadone right now, he is recovering. He is getting better. He is doing better. Nicole Real Talk Recovery on the Suboxone, she's doing better. She is in recovery. She is clean in my book. What is the substance that was hurting her? Or substances? Meth, heroin, fentanyl. Okay. Is she using those things? No. And when she does her life get destroyed from them? Yes. Okay, so that is a show of not recovery. She's, if you will, going backwards. Recovery is going forward and progressing and doing better. These tools can be used that way. I wanted to emphasize in this video as a follow-up to say those things so you understand where I'm coming from. These medications are very important for many people. And the statistics of them not dying from the streets and all these hard drugs and overdoses and deaths and amputations and having to have doctors cut out lumps from abscesses and things like that. And the list goes on with diseases and illnesses and loved ones having to cry over their dead bodies of their other loved ones who died and overdosed. I'm sick of hearing about those things. I want better solutions. And these maintenance drugs do offer those solutions. But are the doctors going to find other ways to help the addicts also who have time clean to get off? Like, what do we need to do? That was the point of the first video. And to kind of let you think with me. Today, you got to think with me again. I love you guys. Derek Lambert, Rewired Addiction. And do not forget, survive. No matter what anyone tells you, no matter the stigma from the abstinent side or vice versa, or from those who say, no, everyone who's a drug addict needs to be prescribed the medicine, just like a heart disease person would be prescribed this heart disease medicine. No matter what side of each people are saying, survive. Whatever works for you, do it. And I love you no matter what. And you are good in my book. And I want you to do better for yourself. That's all that matters. That's the most important thing. Tear down that stigma. When you start hearing people talk like black or white, it's got to be either or. That is a problem in my book because not everyone is the same. Derek Lambert's Derek Lambert, and you are who you are. I love you guys. Survive.